Welcome. While I get ready, I will pop open this can of delicious, crisp, and refreshing Polar Seltzer, who does not sponsor the show, but one day could. You could be paying me to do this, Polar, instead of me doing it for free. What do you think? Anyhow, what up, y'all? Trying to get one more live show in this week. It will be a balancing act today, I have to admit, because I am tasked with watching my 3-year-old Rohan, who is in the room with me right now. He is playing on the floor. We will see how that goes. He may say hello. There will probably be a cameo appearance during the show at some point, but this was my last chance to get one in this week. And obviously, I'm flying to Minnesota tomorrow, to Minneapolis, tomorrow morning / early afternoon. And I thanks to AJ, F1 guy, for those of you who know, and Kevin for inspiring that a little bit. AJ particularly had been pressing for it and pushing for it, but it felt like a good full circle moment considering this show started in my basement here. It started in my basement, live streaming, and it's still live streaming here in my basement. But to go from that to on the court for a possible championship celebration for the WNBA finals, it felt like a poetic moment given what this season has meant for me and this audience and everything like that. So let's run through a few things before I get to the comment section. Number one, the WNBA finals and last night, that shot Sabrina Ionescu hit, that's one of those iconic memories that I think a lot of us will keep with us. What a ballsy shot from Sabrina to take it from there and hit it. That's a regular shot for her nowadays, or for players nowadays, a lot of players. It's crazy how much the game has evolved, because even on the guys' side of things, that would be considered a crazy bad shot back in the day. Now it's a more regular shot, and you have women who are hitting it with regularity. Obviously, that being Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu specifically. Sabrina's got the billboard up in New York right now. And I'm also sending a message out to New York Sports Talk Radio, because it's time for them to be talking about the New York Liberty more. Back in the day, you could have said if they were talking about it, it was to like promote equality or be fair when there wasn't the demand. But I've been in the Barclays Center, 18,000 strong in the Barclays Center to watch the Liberty play. 18,000, over 1 million watching on TV on these games. So you can't say there's not interest. Sabrina hits one of the biggest shots in basketball history. Sabrina and Stewie, stars on that team. It's time for them to be talked about more than just in passing. That's now almost a duty in covering the sports correctly and the landscape correctly. I'm not saying it has to dominate the show. I know football season's going on. I know the Yankees and Mets going on. Knicks about to roll into their season, all that stuff. But it is something that deserves mention. You can sneeze, yes, if you need to, yeah. But that is, it's worthy of being covered in more than just passing. So I wanted to put that out there. Gonna go there to Minnesota, Minneapolis, and maybe catch a Liberty championship parade. I expect the Liberty to win that game. They're a more talented team. They've got, a stacked super team. Really, it's an epic failure if the Liberty don't win. That's the way I look at it. An epic failure if they don't win, given the talent on that team with Sabrina, with Stewie, with Jonquel, with Leonie Fibich, with Vandersloot off the bench, with Lainey Hamilton. That is a stacked squad. They need to win. They need to win. So there's that. And the huge shot that Sabrina hit, that's like a lifetime kind of shot. Then there's the All-WNBA teams, which came out yesterday, which were some nice recognition. I thought Sabrina should have been on the first team. My first team was Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson, and Brianna Stewart. That was my first team. But the first team they had Alyssa Thomas in the place of Sabrina Ionescu. I would have had that happen. I would have changed that and flipped it and everything to that effect. So, but the main story coming out of the All-WNBA teams was Caitlin Clark making the first team All-WNBA, which kind of cements what she did this season, coming into the league off of scoring the most points in NCAA history, then going into the WNBA and having people doubt her and say, prove it. And she comes out one of the 5 best players in the league, pretty much inarguably. And the most impressive thing about it to me was that I don't think anybody would have actually put her there if it wasn't undeniable. Like, I think she had to overcome that prove it to me attitude, that, you know, you're still a rookie attitude, all those kinds of things to actually get there. So, you know, in a sense, it's even extra impressive because there was no way really to argue that she didn't deserve to be there. Rohan, bring it down just a little bit with your battles over there. All right. And then, so that like cements the season that she had. And of course, she gets talked about again today. She gets talked about again today because of a few things. One, I saw the Wall Street Journal article. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. What are you going to do? Like, I don't mind that Asia and Angel were interviewed for it or on the cover or any of that. I mean, they're big stars in the league too. Apparently, the article was 17 minutes long or something and had one mention of Caitlin Clark. I've never seen anybody break people's brains like Caitlin Clark has. She's just broken people's brains to the point where they throw logic out the door. They throw it. I mean, like, if you don't think that Caitlin Clark is responsible for the lion's share of this explosive growth, your brain is broken. And that ties into the other point, which is Unrivaled, and the report that came out today from Front Office Sports that they're pursuing her for Unrivaled. Of course they are. You know, TNT has these TV rights deals for that league now. They have equity in that league now, and they want people to watch it. They want it to be a success. You know, they want it to be a success. You know, whether Caitlin Clark winds up doing it or not is up to her. She has there's no incentive really for her to do it. She doesn't need the money. She could use the rest, all those things. I wouldn't blame her if she felt a certain type of way about some of the things other players have said or what has been said about her fan base. But you can't, you know, seriously look at it and understand why they would, you know, not understand why they would be pushing for her. And, you know, I think it's a win-win for everybody involved, depending on what she decides. Ultimately, it's up to her. But if she decides to play, her fans get to watch her play basketball. And for the league, it's a sure success. If Caitlin Clark plays in Unrivaled, I guarantee you it'll be a success. Without her, I don't know. I'm still rooting for it because it's good for the rest of the women. It's good for women's basketball, all those things. But I can't tell you with any certainty that it'll be a success without Caitlin Clark. And, you know, if she were to go, it's a guaranteed success. No questions asked, nothing about it. I mean, just to, again, put it in context, the last Caitlin Clark game in the WNBA playoffs had 2.5 million views. The game 1 of the WNBA finals had 1.1 million views, which was a record for a game 1, but more than twice as many people watched Caitlin Clark's last playoff game, which wasn't in the finals. I mean, it's easy math. And it's so stupid that people pretend that they don't understand it or pretend that there's something else going on or do backflips to try and discredit her, to be honest. I feel like people do backflips to try and discredit her. Even the college championship argument that was going on earlier, at least that's in a good faith sports argument, that people are having a sports argument. But I've never heard college championships brought up in that context before like that. I've never heard it. I've never heard people like so vociferously talk about college championships. Winning at Syracuse didn't protect Carmelo Anthony from being called a loser. No one crushes Steph Curry for not winning at Davidson. No one crushes Tim Duncan for not winning a championship at Wake Forest, right? But all of a sudden on the women's side, oh, she didn't win at Iowa. She's a bum. She's not a winner. Because it's like the only thing. They grasp onto the only thing that they could possibly use in an argument. And then when I point out, like Brianna Stewart played on a stacked UConn squad, you get blowback. That doesn't mean Brianna Stewart ain't great. Brianna Stewart's arguably the best player of her generation. In fact, winning the finals might cement her as the best player of her generation. But you can't compare UConn and Iowa as college basketball factories. She played on a team full of pros. To not provide that context is silly. You know, and some of the fans are so sensitive, they can't take any sort of argument or conversation without taking it personally. So that's some of what is out there and going on at this moment. Like I said, I do have to pick my kids up from soccer practice in a bit. I got to get ready for my flight to Minneapolis tomorrow. I am currently watching Big Ro, who's on the floor and keeps asking, by the way, for Ellie's theme song from the Liberty, which is Headsprung by LL Cool J, because it starts with "They call me Big LA." Big silly, right, Ron? Yeah. So I don't know if I have too much more to add from a monologue standpoint, because I'd rather get into the comment section and make sure I get to you guys, because I'm doing it for you here. Let's go to DS. When are you returning to WFAN? When they asked me, look, Ryan Hurley, I saw him at Fanatics Fest. I go way back with Hurley. We had a good talk. I was on with Andrew Perloff live from Fanatics Fest while that was going on. I've done a few shows for CBS Sports Radio in the meantime. But I got to tell you, the truth is, and, this is part of the reason I'm going to the finals, I don't need any company. I don't need any company right now. I'll gladly work for various companies. I'll gladly listen to offers, but I am doing better individually and in partnerships. Obviously, I'm in partnership with Sports Illustrated, in various. But the Robin Lundberg Media brand has been more successful in many ways than my career prior to that. So I've always said, like, Jay-Z being my motivational speaker or something to that effect, that aspirational nature, not the materialistic part of it, but that, like, I can conquer anything and do it myself. And, when he couldn't sell the records or get the record deal, started Rockefeller Records, and that's when it really took off. And I remember when things went south for me, that Grammy speech was right around then, like, keep showing up until eventually they call you the greatest of all time. Kevin Zwicker, Brianna had a top 10 moment in New York sports history. Brianna Ionescu? Are you talking about? Sabrina, yeah. Look, that face that she made after hitting that shot was so huge as well. I mean, that was as good as it gets. It don't get any better than that. AJ Schreiber, Robin, rumor has it that Liberty will be celebrating championship at Sunday's Formula One U.S. Grand Prix in Austin. Your two worlds are going to collide. I mean, I think Kendrick Lamar might have something going on with F1 because Lewis Hamilton did the photo shoot that was in the same vein as Kendrick's Super Bowl photo shoot. And then they've been using the broccoli snippet, reincarnated. I was stargazing in the promotion for the. You want to say hi now? Come on. I know you've been waiting to say hi. You can say hi right now. What would you like to say to the people? Here's the microphone. What would you like to say?
Hi.
What turtles do you have?
Bebop.
You got to hold it up to the camera. Bebop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else? Who's this?
Donatello.
Donatello. What else you got?
Leonardo.
Foot Soldier. Who's that? I don't know who that is. Where's Raphael? You got Raphael?
Yeah.
Raphael.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you go back and play on the floor now, buddy?
I did some more characters.
You want to show what?
More characters.
Which ones do you have? What more?
I have this.
Which one? Show me which one you want to show. Rocksteady or Splinter? Splinter?
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady? There you go. Okay. Okay. Now you can go back to playing quietly on the floor. Daddy has just a little bit more in this show, okay?
you come out.
Yeah, then I'll come out there. You can go. Why don't you go watch Turtles out there? Is it still on the TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, go watch Turtles.
Go out and play Turtles.
I'll come play Turtles as soon as I'm done work. Okay. Okay.
You don't lock.
Yeah, love you, buddy. I won't lock. All right. Kevin says Big Ro, the legend. Yeah, that is Big Ro, who was just here. DS says Juju should be allowed to enter to start next year. When will they change the age limit? Well, look, I mean, there's not enough of an incentive monetarily for that at the moment anyway, because Juju can probably make a lot in name, image, and likeness at the college level at the moment before she even needs to go to the pros. You know, in the NBA, there's a rush to get to the pros because of how highly compensated they are. Tokyo, is there YouTube bot farms with crazy CC clickbaits that have 100K to 250K YouTube channels are created this year? If you catch my drift, LOL. Well, look, a couple things have actually happened. One, everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, realized how popular Caitlin Clark is. And that's why you have so many people talking about her, whether it's in a positive standing type of way or in a negative, like Caitlin Clark fans and Caitlin Clark, that's like either way, right? Like on one hand, you have the people who are like, they're targeting Caitlin Clark and they want her out of the league. And on the other hand, you have, there was a league before Caitlin Clark, you know, like, and people are just go round and round in circles. Then you legitimately do have bot farms because Russia and the other places with bot farms identify culture war issues. And that's where they send all the people to stir up the ish. So there is a lot of fake talk around Caitlin Clark as well that's not even real. That is from bot farms. All right, where are we at here? Let me go back to the, thank you for the super chats, guys. Go back to the top.
What is this?
That's from a Sentinel from the X-Men. You gotta go. All right, now go watch Turtles. Afternoon, what's up? Says Ernesto. Tokyo says I'm improving my sponsor talk. Cindy says you need an assistant and a babysitter. An assistant and a babysitter at the same time. Space Karen says if CC plays off-season ball, I would hope she plays in a real league, not run Unrivaled. What is 3v3 full court sound? Well, but let's give it a chance. They said they want to. Nafisa was on and said it's to open up the floor and allow players to have more space to do their thing and operate. You know, and why not give it a chance? I'd rather it be full court than half court. Hawk A. Moon says you can't compete with the Yankees and Mets. No one says it has to dominate the Yankees and Mets. 99% of the casual fan can't name 3 girls on the Liberty. 99% of the casual fan can't name more than 3 players on the Yankees or Mets. Like, you have to be a baseball fan to know players on the Yankees or Mets. I would argue, in fact, casual sports fans might have a better chance of naming more players on the Liberty than the Mets. The Yankees, at least, you know, you could say Aaron Judge and Stanton. And obviously Soto. So, like, other than that, though, Sabrina and Brianna Stewart are on the level of any of the other Yankees. I would say in a not a New York sports sense, but casual sports fan sense. Darnell says it's the first time ever that the Liberty has a finals lead. There you go. They need to finish it off. They need to finish it off. Where are we at now? This dude is in my, like, he's always saying how much he doesn't care about women's basketball or nobody, and then he's in here. Like, dog, do you realize what that you're telling on yourself? All right? You know, nobody thinks you're cool for saying that. Just wanted to put him on the Summer Jam screen for a second, even though I know that's what he wanted. D. Jamel says, last year Iowa sold out home and away games. I'm pretty sure that USC and UConn didn't. Well, UConn is sold out now. And Iowa's sold out now. And somebody else I saw was sold out. South Carolina. Like, it's okay. I'm not saying none of them people are going to be Caitlin Clark. That's an absurdly high bar to climb. But Caitlin Clark also doesn't have to be the only one that matters. Like, both things can be true at the same time. That's why I get like the extremes on either side. Relax. Let everybody be involved. Basement that cold, hair growing icicles to the right where? I don't see. I think you're talking about sweat, dog. I'm sweating. It's not cold. It's hot in here. I don't think I have any icicles in my hair. Unless I'm missing something. Nancy says, looking forward to my report from Indianapolis. Thank you. Alvin White says, love to hear it. I think that might be in reference to the same thing. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back. Well, Demonat, wasn't the argument around college, who is the best college player? What metrics do you use if you talk about the best? Rings do matter. Sure, they're part of the conversation. In every debate, I think rings are part of the conversation. They're not the only thing in the conversation. So rings would be the prohibitive argument for Breanna Stewart, right? Like, okay, she's got 4 rings. But is that more impressive than taking a program to like Iowa to back? Is it more impressive to win 4 national championships with Connecticut than it is to take a program like Iowa to back-to-back national championships while breaking the NCAA scoring record? Like, I think that's a legitimate debate. I don't think that's one you can clearly say it's more impressive to win 4 titles at Connecticut. You can keep sending the super chats. You can comment on my hair all you want. That was Tokyo again saying, just giving a hard time to your hairdo. Unaided Foot says, I do great work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me see where I'm at here. Hold on, what did Angel say on her podcast? Again? Go a week with that. Talking about Caitlin again on her podcast. Who doesn't love the Ninja Turtles? How would you power rank the Ninja Turtles? I go Raphael. I think I go Leonardo second. Then Michelangelo. Then Donatello. But I know there's some Donatello stands out there too. Thank you, Nancy. Says my kids are cute. I think I have some patience, Doug. Yes, I think I'm relatively patient. Peg Wardo says 12 players from Stewart's year were drafted to the WNBA. WNBA is cool. Lighthouse says, Robin, they want the profit of CC's demographic. It's a demographic that's contrary to what they stand for and pushing. CC fan base is basically the American nuclear. Well, I don't want to get on that last sentence, but who knows? CC's fan base is everybody. Like, that's another thing people need to understand. CC's fan base is everybody. You don't get that massively popular unless you're liked by everybody. Again, man, woman, black, white, Asian, Latino, Indian, whatever. Boy, girl, young, old. Caitlin Clark's popular with everybody. You don't become what she is. The problem, I guess, that is legitimately annoying and aggravating is this like idea of rejecting all of her fans and attempting to diminish the impact, and then at the other side of the mouth, oh, we need her. Because you know it is. It's the suits that were in a room. And they're looking at the graphs, and they're looking at the charts, and they're looking at the returns, and they're going, oh, crap. We put money into this. We need to get our money back. That's it. Element Gold says Donatello was my favorite. He was smart like me. Mike says Robin Brianna Stewart played with 12 future WNBA players. Clark had one, which is Kate Martin. That's it? It's just one that whole time? Wow. I mean, look, I mean, I made the point. And then I had people saying I was discrediting Brianna Stewart. You can't win. And one of the things I've tried to get stronger in my convictions as the season went along, because I know what my career has been. I know what I stand for personally, and I'm just not going to take the crybaby bully bullshit. Alvin says Leonardo was the best Ninja Turtle. Scottish Jason says CC knows her worth in the free market. That is unrivaled. Look, well, Caitlin has also wanted to build women's basketball and help enrich others. So that is something she could do through Unrivaled. She has no responsibility. She has no, duty. We don't even know if she gets anything out of it, really. So I'm not pressuring her. Look, would it help me selfishly? Sure, right? It's more content. We get to watch her play basketball. I would be 100% excited, 1000% excited. Yes, but that doesn't mean she got to do it. She played a lot of basketball. She deserves her time off. It has to be a want rather than a need. But for the audience and for the league, it's a good thing. Mike says, Robin, your neutral and logical journalism has earned you a big, well-deserved following. We need more Robins in the media world, in my opinion. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I've tried my best. I still got some of them crybaby bullies who blocked me, which also shows you how much of crybabies they are. They can't even take a back and forth. I'll have a reasonable back and forth. I'm not, going in there with some agenda or nefarious tactics. I'm just trying to have a good faith argument, and they block and run away. Scar Scream says nobody discredits Tatum, Paolo, Kyrie, AD, etc. for going to big time schools. Yeah, nobody discredits them. Nobody credits them either for what happened, right? I've never heard once anybody bring up Tatum at Duke. I forgot AD went to Kentucky, right? So what? And then there's also a big difference between college basketball on the women's side and college basketball on the men's side, where college basketball on the women's side has been dominated by a few programs to a degree that is not the same as the men's side. Even when you're talking about the Dukes and the North Carolinas and the UCLAs, you got to go way back to compare it to recent history of the UConns and more recently South Carolina now. They're stacked. But yeah, no one's discrediting Brianna Stewart either. To say it's not discrediting her to say that her winning 4 championships doesn't necessarily make her better than somebody who elevates an entire program and breaks individual records. It's an argument. It's a debate, like sports talk has always been. And you've never heard me say Michael Jordan is better than LeBron because he's got more championships, or that Kevin Durant's championships count the same as Dirk Nowitzki's championship, or that Warriors championship the same as the 2004 Pistons championship. I've never heard any college player propped up like that. I've never heard a men. The closest I can recall is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because he was before my time, and I've heard people say he won at every level, high school, college, pro. But other than that, I've really never heard college debates. Smeeto83, one question. Do Brunson's 2 NCAA titles give him any edge whatsoever over Curry? Both played 3 years of college ball. No, of course not. And Brunson's a great player, but he's not Steph Curry. Right? Steph Curry is in my opinion, a top 5 player of all time. Jalen Brunson's a top 15 player in the NBA now. It's not gotcha, Starscream. It's like saying the Warriors won because Kevin Durant went to a 73-win team. Is that gotcha? I don't understand. These are the same type of debates that have been had forever. But in the WNBA, you're not allowed to have it. People cry. Like anything, people just start crying. What's wrong, Rohan? Speaking of crying, he's crying. What's wrong, bud? You what?
I needed this.
Okay, you got it now, okay? They have ranked college teams this year, and Iowa's not in the top 25. Well, they were 26. They were 26. Am I coming? See, that would be like WNBA talk. People like, how dare you discredit Jalen Brunson? How dare you? Just a kid from Brooklyn. Sabrina is cold-blooded. If you're boycotting because CeCe's not playing, you're missing out. I don't think many people are. I mean, I think from what I've noticed, a lot of the Clark fans are the most vocal, supportive fans out there. It's evolved over the course of the season. Exactly, says Smeedo83. So Stewart, with her super teams at UConn, has no edge over CeCe at Iowa. If anything, it should be held against Beckers that she didn't get one in 4 years. Like, again, it's not a negative that Breanna Stewart won 4 championships, right? Like, it's a very big positive. It's certainly not a negative. But to act as if it's the infinity gauntlet and you can just snap your finger and everything else goes away is also wrong, because you're allowed to provide context in an argument. The context is she went to a university that has a penchant for stacking talent and winning championships and played with a lot of talent. Ain't nobody heard of Iowa women's basketball until Caitlin Clark went there. And Caitlin Clark individually broke the all-time NCAA scoring record, men or women. And people got to stop acting like Caitlin Clark ain't the truth on the court. First team All-W, breaks the NCAA all-time scoring record, leads the NCAA in scoring and assists, goes to the WNBA, and makes first team All-WNBA in her rookie year. Come on. Come on. Just a kid from Brooklyn says it's incredible basketball. I honestly thought it was going to be boring. Only negative, they keep scheduling games against the Mets playoff games. Yeah, like, you know what? There's some things about the WNBA that I think people really like is on the men's side, they've almost become superhuman, right? Like, and on the WNBA side, it's still play below the rim. So you see some more of the traditional basketball you probably grew up with. That's one thing. There's much less foul baiting in the WNBA as there is in the NBA. So I do think there is some appeal. You've seen a lot of NBA fans, I think, really come around to. So you had the Iowa and college fans who came in with Clark. And then you had the NBA fans who I think came over with Clark in a lot of ways too. Katie says, I wonder if anybody will discredit Paige if she wins a championship this year because it took her 5 years. No one's going to discredit anybody but Caitlin. That's it. It doesn't Paige, Juju, nobody else. It's only Caitlin, I promise you. Because she doesn't fit whatever mold and she's so popular. The resentment is really about her popularity more than anything else. About the fact that she's gotten all this shine and all this love that no one else ever got before, and that outweighs everybody else. Because Caitlin Clark is bigger than the WNBA by herself. That's just a true statement. And I love the WNBA. I am flying, I have a credential. I have a media credential, so I'll be covering the team as media. But I'm flying and staying on my own dime to watch there because this has been a big part of my life, and it's a big moment in my life, and I want to be there to experience it, and I'm doing my best to build up the rest of the league as well. I try to be fair in the coverage. But in being fair in the coverage, you also speak the truth. So as much as I've enjoyed the rest of the WNBA and tried to celebrate the rest of the WNBA, it's naive to not believe Caitlin Clark isn't bigger than the league by herself. She is the one that changed the entire game. I think a lot of people thought she was going to be more Tim Tebow or Jeremy Lin, and she turned out more Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods. Marty Barkley says resentment is also due to her lucrative endorsement deals. Well, look, that has something to do with the popularity as well. You want to say hi again? I made my way through a lot of comments. I already told people it's not going to be the longest show. Come here.
How is it going to be finished?
You want me to be finished? You want to sing Ellie's theme song? Ready. They call me. Go ahead. They call me Big Ellie. Don't be shy.
Yes.
They call me Big Ellie. Big silly. Who's your favorite basketball player?
No.
Who?
Jacob.
Caitlin Clark? Yeah. Who's your favorite superhero? Hulk. Who's your favorite wrestler? Solo Sikoa. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Raphael. All right. Give me 5 more minutes, buddy. Okay? Okay. He's got to be the only person who says Solo Sikoa is their favorite wrestler, by the way. All right. Got another minute or two, guys. I know it's going to be a short one. I apologize for that, but I wanted to get, I'm a busy guy. 3 kids, flying out of town. Nobody else is here, but I'm what most people can't live stream and watch a toddler at the same time. I'll say that too. Doug Phelps says I could do with less physicality in the women's game. I just want it to be called. I like the physicality. I like the fact that people don't bait for calls. I just want the refs to call it correctly. That's what's most important, that they call the game correctly and fairly and consistently and make the right calls when, it happens. Alvin White with the super chat. Solo Sikoa got the kids. LOL. Yeah, who knew, right? Gary VP says layups and scoops are more difficult than dunks. Well, you also have to remember women are shorter and large, and their vertical leaps are lower. So it's a little harder to finish layups. There are physical differences between men and women, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's remarkable, with that said, how great the women are and how skilled the women are. And I think that's what stands out with like Clark and UNESCO and the shots that they're making, because they can shoot with any of the dudes. Sabrina proved it. She went head up with Steph Curry. She lost to Steph Curry, but she had a higher score than anybody else that was in that 3-point contest. Anybody else that night. So the skill stands out. Vonda Phillips says, are you going to go live at the game? We'll see how things go. I'll be in the media rooms and stuff. So some of that stuff you can't really do. I'll play it by ear, but I'll try to give you guys the best coverage I can. Hit me up in the comments or separately if there's anything specifically you'd like to see. I'm trying to be there for the scenes, for the vibes, for the experience to culminate this season, and then for a celebration. I mean, that ultimately would be the best content, I think, is if the Liberty were to win, and I can capture some of those moments for you. But maybe I can go live on my phone or something beforehand or from the arena. I'll play it by ear. Absurd Duck Gaming says, Robin, do you think Caitlin should stay in the WNBA if the level of hate and resentment continues after last year? She's staying in the WNBA, guys. That's not changing. Who made up these reports about her going somewhere else? I don't see that happening now. She will be in the WNBA. Starscream says, did you see Enrique's back and forth last night on X? Yes, I did. So basically, I think Enrique shouted out Sabrina, and then some Caitlin Clark fan was like, Clark can do that too. And Enrique was like, yeah, so can I, but we haven't done it in that moment. And it was a good clap back from Enrique, and it was an unnecessary comment from the Clark. It's an us, so many of these comments are unnecessary. Like the Clark fan who got in there and said Clark could do that too. Just like the people who were like, Sabrina is what Clark wants to be. All garbage. All garbage. Enrique seems like cool people. She's a hella player, and she seems cool. I have no issues with what she said there. Ernesto says, yes, Hulk. They got to get Hulk has lickbacks in the MCU. Henry Patterson, absolutely. The refs just need to be more consistent. Yep. Gotcha, Vonda. Okay. I hear you. Oh, I agree. I think TNT is what went after. Basil says, why are you avoiding my comments today? Don't want to address the jumping of what? What are you talking about? You guys have to understand, there are a lot of comments that come in. I do my best. For the most part, I'm not avoiding them. Element Gold says, Enrique and the Irish started the Geno brain break. Iowa finished it off. All right. Boxing and Bulldogs. Who knows if TNT is paying the WNBA? Well, it's not the WNBA. Unrivaled is a completely separate league. So it's not the same. Nike Rawhide said, would TNT be okay paying Clark $5 million while the rest only $250K? See, that's the thing that you have to run into because you don't want it to be unfair. I mean, she would deserve a bigger equity stake than everybody else. Yeah, I saw what Angel said, Mike. Look, Angel also knows where her bread is buttered in that sense. It's never going to stop. The longer she's attached to Clark, the better for her. Jasmine Bell says, as a Clark fan, some of us are very annoying. We can be overly sensitive at times. I agree, but I think it was much worse at the beginning of the season than it is now. Because I used to call y'all out all the time on here, if you recall. It used to be like, you can't act like a cult and, everybody's fault but her, and we're worshiping at the altar of Queen Caitlyn. Like, I used to call that out all the time. I think it's gotten better. Every superstar player has their stands who are stupid and annoying. I do think it's gotten much better. But yes, I agree. Like, the response to Enrique is unnecessary. But it's one random commenter on the internet. Like, why do we have to give so much power to random commenters on the internet? If you go to these games, you hear none of this shit. The ratings, the millions of people who are watching are not doing that. The thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the stands are generally not doing that. It's random people online. I don't think Jasmine is a Reese fan at all. I've seen her in here talking about Caitlyn a bunch. I think you're trying to judge a book by its cover. When, again, another thing is like the race thing that comes into these debates, I think is so overblown. I think it's used as a weapon by people to try and shame fans. And I think, yes, is there some appeal to Caitlyn Clark being white? Yes, there must be some. But it's so overstated, it's ridiculous. And I have been in the spaces. I have seen the chat. Many of Caitlyn Clark's biggest fans are black. And you know what is racist? To label everybody's opinion and stuff based on their race. That's actually racist. To make assumptions about people based on their race. When what I say is what I say, in my opinion, it is not representative of all white people. That's for damn sure. Just like what a black commenter online might say is not representative of all other black folks. And I say this as somebody who's been in a room for much of my life and spent much time with many different people, including living with them, marrying into different culture. I have been the only white guy in so many rooms in my life, I can't even tell you. And I don't say that to seem cool or brag. It's just everybody's different. There may be certain customs and cultures in people's backgrounds, but he says, I'm a leftist twat. What I said is not. I didn't say you specifically were racist, Basel. I said it is racist to assume someone of a certain color or background has a certain opinion. or I don't even want to use the term racist because it gets thrown around too much. Maybe I shouldn't have said racist. It is, I don't know the word for it, but you get the point. The point being, just because you see someone with a darker complexion does not mean they're not a Caitlin Clark fan. And Jasmine can speak for herself. I like Angel Reese too, although I like Clark more. I just think some CC fans are soft and obsessive. Asia Wilson said it at the beginning. Yes, well, Asia's hung up on it. I mean, it's one of the things I think people don't like about Asia because she's a great basketball player and she gets plenty of positive attention, but she still seems to act as if the world is against her. And she's overcoming odds when I think actually people bend over backwards to appeal to her. Katie says, I just don't think Caitlin will be able to win this with this unrivaled situation. If she joins, people will be unhappy because they don't want her there. But if she doesn't, then she costs players money. It's her decision. Look, we already assumed. I thought the train had left the station. It's the report that came out, so we'll see. I don't think anybody should judge her either way. But let's be honest about it. Why is this happening? Because people looked at it and they went, oh my goodness, we need Caitlin around if we want this league to surely succeed. Starscream, I've gotten to plenty of your questions today. I don't know. I mean, if you want to make sure, I'm not saying y'all have to pay me, but if you want to make sure your comment gets read, that's the guarantee. Because then the reason I say that is because it shows me on my end, I see a differentiation between just me scrolling through and catching the comments as they come in versus it starring it for me and highlighting it for me. But all right, I have a 3-year-old to take care of and some kids to pick up from soccer. As always, I appreciate y'all. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Give me any feedback that you have. Always willing to go back and forth and chop it up. I will be headed to Minneapolis tomorrow, so I will try to give you some content from over there. Feel free to hit me up while I'm there too. Y'all are a part of this success, a huge part of it, right? Like, I'm Caitlin Clark. Y'all are the rest of the WNBA. If you get the analogy. Thank you, Jasmine. Is it Nikki or Nike? Sorry, I keep Nikki. All of those things. Until next time, y'all. Yeet.